Okay, I wanted to do a little explanation of this poem before we move on because I think some of you aren't quite getting it. Um, Remember, it says read the poem twice. Really, after you read it the first time, that should offer you some clues for what the poem is actually talking about. So when you read the poem through the first time, it talks about a little maiden, young, fair, and sweet. Basically, she's skipping around through nature. She's waking up parts of Mother Nature, getting them ready for spring. And you find out in this last paragraph that her April is her name, and we welcome her with gladness as the springtime comes again. That's giving you the clue. That's giving you the answer here that what they're really talking about is the month of April. Okay? So that after you read it through once and hopefully pick up on that, you go through it again and read it and understand a little bit more about what they're talking about. They're not talking about an actual person. They're talking about the month of April where things start to wake up. Things start to bloom again. So going through the poem again and doing the annotation portions that I've asked, put a check mark by an example of personification. Well, you could absolutely use the kiss her dainty feet because you're talking about grass. Her arms are full of flowers. Well, they're talking about the month of April. That's when flowers begin to bloom. That could be personification. Timid blue-eyed violets. Well, violets, they're describing violets as having blue eyes. That's an example of personification. So any one of those would work. What is a brooklet? Put the definition by the word. A brooklet is a small brook or creek, a small running water. And then the last annotation portion here. What does the poem mean by her brow is sometimes clouded? Think about the overall meaning of the poem and what it's talking about. Then you were supposed to double click in this box and type your answer. So when you double click, it gets you to the drawing and then you can click in here and you can actually type. Okay? Well, think about the month of April. Her brow is sometimes clouded. A brow is a forehead. So you're talking about the top. April showers. Okay? So meaning that it rains in April. I think some of you missed that meaning. And then it says to scroll down. The poem refers to parts of nature as young or in childlike form. Baby brooklets, little children, daffodils. Why do you think that? Well, spring is all about rebirth and renewal when things are young and fresh again. And then explain the overall personification that is happening in this poem. The overall personification is that they're giving the human qualities to the month of April. That's the overall personification. So I think that this was your first practice with close reading. Clue number one is you have to read through a section first one time, just skim through it quickly, to pick up any of that stuff at the end that will help you with understanding the overall, particularly in poetry, and that's what we're going to focus on. Give it a reading through first, and then go back and do your annotation and answer your questions, okay? So I hope this helps. I hope this kind of gives a deeper meaning to some of you. We're going to keep moving on. Your assignment for today is an article, so it's not the same as a poem. You're really just picking out inferences and answering close reading questions and annotating based on some pretty straightforward information. We're going to go back to poetry, and that sometimes the meaning is hidden, and you have to look through the poem, have to read it through a few times to really pick up what they're getting at.